Another late night comedy show. Mike Perkins and Paul Proto. We're the house band with all the show. Tonight. Another late night podcast tonight.
With Mike Perkins.
What's up, guys? It's Mike again, coming at you at the top of the episode just to give you a quick heads up. Thanks for listening last week. If you listened last week, you're amazing. If you didn't, well, check it out. This is part 2 of an interview that we did last week with the amazing, incredible comedian Mark Sipka, ladies and gentlemen. So last week, we did part 1, and if you're coming back because you're like, I need more Mark Sipka in my life, you're in for a treat because he is an amazing dude, and we talk longer with him, and this is going to be part 2 of Mark Sipka. Once again, if you don't know who Mark Sipka is, come on, man. You got to get with the program. What's going on? He's the best in the biz. Mark Sipka, one of our best friends around town. He always drops into our show. He does Tad on another late show tonight. He drops in Tad Roast Movies. But if you don't know Mark Sipka, he has an amazing special also on Amazon Prime called My Special Family Special, where he actually roasts his family on stage, which is incredible. It's so heartfelt and, just funny all around. It's just amazing. You can find him also on Instagram at Mark Sipka, MarkSipka, and check him out on YouTube. He has an amazing YouTube page where he does the Tad Roast Movies and a ton of other characters and his stand-up and stuff. Mark's the best in the biz. But this is part 2 of our Mark Sipka interview, and thank you for tuning in again this week for part 1. If you didn't listen to part 1, go back and listen to it. It's going to be great. He's awesome. We appreciate him dropping in and hanging with us. Once again, like we said, we hung out for so long. We recorded maybe for 2 hours, and then we stopped recording and still talked for like another hour because he's just a great all-around dude. Hang out with him for hours. We do usually when we do like live shows around town and stuff. We'll just do the show and then hang out for like 3 hours after the show, which we all miss because we're all in lockdown again. What if I just went into a big monologue for like 10 minutes? It's like, get into the episode, idiot. Anyway, this is part 2 of Mark Sipka. Thank you guys so much for listening, giving us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcast, Spotify, following us, telling all your friends, sharing the stuff on Instagram. You guys are amazing. We love you. Thank you so much from all of us. And this is part 2, again, of Mark Sipka. So live it up, baby. That's our new slogan. Live it up, baby. But hope you love it. Thank you so much. Here's the episode.
I got one more. I got another question for you, Mark. So you talked about being a rock star, or wanting to be a rock star. And a lot of the videos I watched of you, you were singing. So one, I definitely have a request because I know you do a lot of impersonations. So I have a request because I heard it. I fancy you a little bit of a singer. I'm not like, as a singer, hearing another person, I can hear that you can carry a tune. You can obviously stay on rhythm, but like, even when you're singing Tad Loves Movies, or even when you sing Christmas Shoes as Tad, I was like, he sings it in tune. He sings it as Tad, on key as Tad. So clearly you can sing. Then I heard your Billie Holiday impression. And I was like, what the fuck was that? Like, first of all, it was ridiculously good. But I was like, okay, he can actually sing. Is that something you ever trained, or that just happened? And you're going to have to do Billie Holiday if you're comfortable.
I'd be honored to. I still, when people say like, hey, can you sing? I still say no. I did take one singing lesson in college, but I still didn't feel like good in it. Like I don't really know how to sing in my own voice, if that makes any sense.
Totally, for sure.
I've got some like musical background. Like I did like 7 years of piano as a kid, like that kind of stuff. But
you were doing like AC/DC, and you were doing Elvis, and then when you do Randy Newman, as ridiculous as the Randy Newman is that you do, it stays in key and it jumps up and down, but it stays in pitch.
Your AC/DC live show one too it's just like,
thanks,
how do you do that?
Ridiculous,
dude. I think it's me. I love AC/DC. I love Elvis. I love Billy. I love Randy. Like I love the unique voices. So if I hear a unique voice, like a Louis Armstrong, I can latch onto it. And I know, I guess it's like, I know when I'm doing it right or not.
Sure.
If I'm singing
you can
as
impersonate it.
If I sing as me, I got no clue where I am in it. But I know when I'm like Brian Johnson from AC/DC, and I think that's just because the goal is to sound like them. I've heard something already sung, and I can do that. And it's sort of like becoming another character for me.
Sure.
So I got into that stuff when I was like towards my senior year of high school, I think. Like I went on a cruise with my buddy and his parents, and it was so much fun. And on there, they had like karaoke nights every night.
Yeah.
And I remember I got up there and did like Louis Armstrong and Elvis, and it was just so much fun getting to sing and dance and perform for a crowd. And that like senior year in my high school talent show, like the last days of school, I got my buddies together and we did an AC/DC Thunderstruck Back in Black medley. That's what we did. It's so funny watching it now, but like I'm clearly doing it for a school full of kids. Some of them know the songs, some of them don't. Losers. And I don't quite have the Brian Johnson like deep voice yet. So there's been so many funny comments on YouTube of like, this guy sounds like a crow, this guy sounds like, and it's so true. It's just like shrieking, not breathing whatsoever. The veins are like bursting. I'm doing everything wrong. And I tried to redeem myself like my senior year of college at Encore, doing like Thunderstruck and Back in Black. And it's just so much fun. Like AC/DC is my favorite band just because of like that. As soon as you hear a note, you know who you're listening to. Like they've just got that unique style that I really love. And so I think with the people who are my favorites to impersonate and sing like, they've all got a unique sound where like,
that's such an interesting thing you say, because I was talking about this when I think Sean and I've talked about this a lot when you were talking about with the jackets and putting on, like Sean and I clearly, when we go do it, we put on a bit of a persona. We put on a bit of of these ridiculous, arrogant rock stars. And that makes it, I think, a lot easier for me to sing, to be honest, because there's a bit of like, this is a character that's going up there. I've been singing my whole life. A handful of years ago, 3-4 years ago, I heard Sam Smith for the first time, who I think is the best singer I've ever heard in my life. As a singer, I just think what he does vocally is something about it. I'm like, that's so lovely. It just sounds so good. And so I've listened to him a lot, and I have definitely found parts of his voice now that have creeped into the way that I sing, but I've become a better singer over the last 3 or 4 years, for sure, because of that person being a singer in the world.
That makes sense, man. I think it's like you sort of hear the potential in somebody's voice, or you hear somebody go there. Right. That way you can be like, okay, can I do like it's almost like they reached up and they like reached up as high as they could. And,
they hit a bell.
They hit a bell, or they like took a sticker and they tried to jump as high as they can and stick it there. So you're like, all right, that's the goal. I know whether I'm attaining it or not. So like, that's cool that you heard somebody do something with their voice that you were like, I have never known that was a thing until I heard that sound.
Yep. And then knowing your own voice and then finding ways to like bring in what they do so well. He does a lot of flipping and pain, and I've been like, okay, I can pull that back and pull things back and learn how to control that stuff. But you being someone that does so many impressions, same kind of thing. You can hear an impression, hear a sound, and go, there's the bell, hit it, boom. Like when you do Louis Armstrong, you have to do Billie Holiday if you guys haven't heard. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, I could do some Billie.
Yes,
I love the one that she does where it's called "The Very Thought of You." She's like her it sounds like she just drinks butter. That's her. It's like,
oh yeah, the very thought of you, the mere idea of you, the little ordinary things that everyone ought to do.
She just has the like,
wow.
Yes,
So amazing.
Like I love that
it's
about her
so
voice.
Funny and awesome through the stereo, through the speakers and everything like that too, because she had that sound that like kind of broke through
Like,
the
Yeah.
it sounded so old because it was obviously coming through an old radio at the time
Old
too,
and a
but
little
there was
crackly. Yeah.
there's an old crackly sound to it, and so when you do it, that's good.
I love people like her. You know, like if you think about just some of our favorite artists and bands, it's just so interesting because I just think maybe people were more unique when it came to acting or the way they dressed or the way they did all these things because there was just fewer people to listen to and look at. You know, like you watch a Charlie Chaplin movie and you go, I haven't seen like the stuff he's doing. I go, he had nobody to base this off of. He was just coming up with it. So
Right.
like I love a lot of these artists and singers like a Randy Newman or a Bob Dylan or whatever. All these guys that would get cut first round of America's Got Talent and The Voice and American Idol, right? And
Yeah.
Right.
Janis Joplin, like these guys would be eliminated because their voices aren't perfect. But what I respect is like a Bob Dylan, you know, or a Randy Newman who are more songwriters, but they're like, no, I'll sing it, you know, and they do it knowing
Yeah.
it's not technically good, but it's so cool because like there is something really lovable about those voices. Louis Armstrong sounds like he gargles silverware. Like how?
Yeah.
I do not know what his voice teacher that he probably never had said about his voice because it is just like it is so rough. I don't know how that can feel good.
Sing like that and how you could sing like that for that long. Anytime anybody or yourself or anybody does the Louis Armstrong thing, when you're doing that, like, what a wonder. When you're doing that, you're like, I can only do this for
25
like
seconds. Yeah.
25 seconds, and I'm toast, bro. I'm
Yeah, you
toast
do
on
one-
that.
Yeah.
Zappity bappity bap. Oh yeah.
and you're just yeah, I think I'm dead.
Yeah, my
I
throat
felt that
can't
way.
handle this.
I felt that way. Like I don't know about you guys, but I like hated the stage, hated like any idea of being up in front of people until I saw like Elvis in a movie and Elvis performing. And I was like, oh, you can be cool. You can be weird. And I entered my middle school talent show and I didn't even sing as Elvis. I got up there and like lip sync to Jailhouse Rock. And that was my first like approach in front of my whole middle school, going up there and just dancing and becoming a character, dressing up as him. And then the comedy of it was I had a bunch of my buddies on the football team dress up like girls. Again, don't know why I didn't just have actual girls. I knew girls. I had them dress up like women and scream and chase me out of the gym. And
That's awesome.
after I did that, I was like, oh, this is fun. Like, this is fun performing for people. And then
Yeah.
when I got into high school, the theme of like our homecoming was Viva Las Vegas. And my freshman year, our class like built a little white Vegas wedding chapel, and they wanted me to be Elvis and dance and sing on the float. And I still remember to this day showing up to the parade and them being like, hey, the stereo doesn't work. We couldn't get a sound system or anything. And I remember calling my parents and being like, hey, can you drive right behind the float and blast my like Elvis CD? And my parents drove behind the float and I danced through my hometown to Elvis singing Viva Las Vegas like 1,000 times and then a bunch of other Elvis songs and just watching my town laugh at me. And I still can't grow sideburns, but even at that time I was drawing sideburns on with a Crayola washable marker. And I was so tired and sweating so hard as Elvis that I dripped, my sideburns dripped off of my face, man. And I was like, dude, how did Elvis do more than one song? Like, there's no way that sound can come out of somebody clearly and like your lower half can just be on a whole nother planet and not just want to pass out after one track. And I remember my mom told me that the principal of my high school got a phone call from an angry woman from my town saying that she was complaining about my moves as Elvis being too vulgar and that I shouldn't have been in the parade. And I was like, what a way to impersonate the king. They want to cancel the king.
Success.
Even in the modern
Absolute
day.
success.
Yeah, this pelvis isn't for everybody's eyes. It is an
Yeah.
honor.
She probably didn't expect for you to actually pull your junk out either. Like that was the wild card.
Man, that was so Elvis.
That was so Elvis.
Okay,
That's
so
okay.
now I have a question on a little bit more personal, if you will. Do you are you in a relationship? Do you drink alcohol? Like, I want to know some more things about you.
Yeah, I am. I've been in a relationship for 4 years with my girl Austin. She is the sweetest. We met at an audition out here, and we just like hit it off. We stood outside of like the casting office talking for just hours and hours. Nobody took a bathroom break. Nobody had anywhere to go. We just hung out, and I remember like people would pass by. There's a woman that passed by, went to a restaurant, came back out like an hour or two later, and she was like, "You guys are still here?" And then I remember Austin was like, "Oh, can I give you a ride back to your car?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's down the street. I'll take a ride to the car." And we just sat in the car for hours and hours. It got dark out, and I remember I was getting out of the car, and the police pull up behind us, and it was like, "Your ID, what are you guys doing here?" And I was like, "We just had an audition, I swear, right down the street." And he had all these questions for us, and he's like, "Well, we got a call from the neighbors." And I'm like, I wonder what the neighbors thought we were doing. We honestly were just sitting and like joking around. Maybe we're being loud in her car. But
There's a Louis Armstrong impersonator that is blowing up.
Who's screaming at the top of his lungs.
There's a man trying to
Some
get
guy-
laid outside and pulling his best Billie Holiday.
yeah, when I want to get a girl hot and bothered, I impersonate the dead jazz singer Billie Holiday. That will get them running. Be like, "Randy Newman, you got more than a friend in me. You want to have friends with benefits with me? It's a little late, but is anybody in the mood for some heavy petting?"
Jesus.
She's
Oh,
cackling,
it's so
and
funny.
you're doing Randy Newman, and people are complaining.
Oh, that's great.
4 years. You guys live together? How does that?
Yeah.
You guys,
Yes, we do. We got engaged last year. We got engaged
hey!
last year.
Yeah,
Congratulations!
Thank you very much.
There it is.
Thank you very much. And we were supposed to get married this year, and had to.
What
cancel
happened this
everything.
year? Something? Is it something stupid?
Yeah.
Dude, something happened. I don't know. Something China
Cancel
did.
some things.
Some things get reworked, rethought through.
Yeah, apparently this year just needed to get rescheduled. I don't know. Mike was out of town all year. Everybody's been going through it. And so we just cancel everything, man. And so we were like, what are we gonna do? Do we just have to postpone? And then, we just sort of settled on. We're like, well, you know what? This year sucks. This year's not gonna take everything from us. So what we did was we were like, should we just do this like Vegas thing? Should we do this thing?
No way,
And,
you did it.
You're like, I got an Elvis suit. I'm ready to go.
Bro, if I could have, I would have married both. I would have married us. But we had joked about it, and then we looked it up, and we're like, we're doing it. So we went to Vegas and did the dang thing, and
Really?
and
Hell
went to like
yeah.
a Vegas Elvis wedding chapel. Dude, it was
So wait, you're not engaged anymore then?
no, I'm a married man.
I didn't know you got married. Yes.
When did you actually get married?
In November. We got married in November.
Wow!
Wow.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you guys. Thank you. It was honestly like, it obviously was not the original plan. You want to celebrate with your family and all that stuff.
Sure,
but
sure,
like,
sure.
this was a combination of like still making it special. We having Elvis do it, it was special, it was funny, and it felt like an event still. Like we toyed with just like going to the courthouse and doing that. But
Did anybody else come out, or just the two of you guys? went
just the
to
two of
thing?
us. Just the
That's
two of
so
us.
awesome.
And
Good job.
Amazing.
Way to
It
go.
felt really fun. I think we both like laughed about it, but also in the moment we were like, you know what, we're really glad we did this thing. And
Yeah.
it was great, man. It was really cool.
And so you guys went to Vegas though, and then did you guys get to have fun, just the two of you in Vegas then?
Yeah, it was really
Great.
awesome.
Awesome.
Like, I had never gone.
You never been to Vegas?
You're like
What?
so Vegas. He's like,
Yeah.
you would
Come
like
on.
slay
A
in Vegas.
man.
Guys, I've seen Swingers multiple times. I've seen
Vegas,
Vegas Vacation
baby.
starring Chevy Chase. But like I don't know how to gamble. I don't know anything about that.
I'll
But-
teach you a thing or two. I got you covered.
Yeah, we
man.
got
Yeah,
Wheeling
Mike
and
has got
Dylan
you.
Perkins
Perkins
over
has
here.
got you. He's a
You're
pro.
so money, baby.
He's been
I
on the
got you.
Kardashians. He's been on the Kardashians.
Yeah.
He only deals with celebrity. But it was so fun. I mean, it was just like staying. It was also like a safer option too. You know, like everybody was really really cool there, and we stayed at the Luxor, like the giant pyramid, and we're like, this place.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm in a pyramid. The elevator.
Yeah.
And it was cool. I think we definitely want to go back, especially when things are just open. Like it was still really fun with things so shut down. But yeah, it was special, man. It was really cool.
That's awesome, man.
That's-
That's a cool
that's
thing for you
great.
two to do, just to kind of, end the year on an amazing note,
Yeah, it was like, all right, we're taking this, and luckily we did it when we did, because things really shut down and got crazy after that.
Yeah.
So it felt like the right time too.
Yeah.
Does she come out to your shows? Like, does she ever come out and see your shows?
She's a trooper. Yeah. I mean, you guys know it's such a gamble, whatever door you walk through to do a show out here.
Yeah, for sure.
She's been to some of the good ones. She's been to a lot of the bad ones.
And she still gets off on Randy Newman.
She has seen crowds who love the Newman. She's seen crowds that don't love LA nearly as much as Randy does. I just say I did a show at a brewery, and I went as Randy Newman, and I sang, I love LA. We love it, And they were not that big of fans. I was like,
That one
Was
didn't
it-
go over very well.
Was
Nope.
it Angel City Brewery?
I did perform shows at Angel City. This one was Three Weavers. My buddy Trent runs a
Oh,
show
gotcha.
there. And there's certain shows that you guys drive to in LA, and
Oh my God.
especially I before the pandemic, and I wasn't wearing suits as much. But before that, dude, I was like, if there's a show, I wear the suit. So like, I've been to those
Hear ya.
dive bars in a
Yeah.
tuxedo.
Yeah, we hear that shit, bro.
Oh my gosh.
Adam and I feel your pain big time.
Do you guys feel the suit judgment sometimes, where people are like, "You douchebag," And
Well,
in
we
my
get that
mind-
for sure, but because there's two of us and our suits are so loud,
Oh,
because
man.
we've always laughed that when we don't drive to the show together, it's the worst thing walking into the venue, like dressed like an asshole. Like we're the loudest, like a creamsicle colored orange jacket and white pants. And if your duo partner isn't there, you're like, I'm just a crazy person at this dive bar.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
rolling up to the cinema bar in Culver City, and they're like, they're like balloon animals in the back? I don't think so. Like,
Yeah, when
it
there's
doesn't
two
feel
of us,
right.
though, it's like people go, oh, you're a thing, right?
That's a thing.
Yeah. Your buddy's at the bar. He's over there.
Yeah, you get that a lot.
exactly.
Be like, I already saw you
Your
before.
your partner, your lover's
partner.
over there.
That's so funny.
It's
A lot of
it's
suit judgment,
totally a
especially
thing.
when you go to a place that it has no business at, which is most of the places that like these shows are being done at. Like, you're just way overdressed.
Oh yeah, and you feel it, and there's shows where I get up there, and there's three people in the bar, and they didn't know there was a show tonight. They're not happy about it. We're not happy that nobody came and nobody knew there was a show tonight. And you're like, I tied a necktie and West Side for you. You people show me no love and no respect. Are you kidding me? And there's sometimes where I sort of told myself over the suit judgment, being like, well, hey, that didn't feel good, but you look good, And then
Do you
We
know-
always
we
just
drive
said that.
home.
That's exactly it. It's a little bit of a
Ye-
show. That's for us.
Yeah.
We're putting on a show, and we're trying to make people feel like there's a little bit extra going on here.
You know what?
it.
That's one thing that makes you stand out, though, Mark. And going back to the Flappers audition when I met you for the first time, and even though you're in a suit, but even when you're in your nice Letterman jacket or whatever you're wearing on stage or whatever, you bring that energy. That's just like, hey, I'm gonna do this the best I can, and I don't care if there's 2 people or there's 200 people. Because you're doing your Billie Holiday, you're doing whatever you want to do to perform, and you're doing your act, which is incredible.
Mhm.
Thank
you know?
brother. Thank you, man. And I think it was hard for me to get into that mentality. Like I honestly felt like if I perform without the suit, it's not going to be as good. And what sort of started happening is when I started growing my hair out, I was like, oh, I don't look, the suit doesn't look as good. Right now I look like middle school and high school Mark, like shaggy haired guy, a Blink-182 fan, you know.
All the small things that you can.
Oh, but your long hair with your Lions jacket is just so divine.
Tremendous.
You know that as a Bengals fan, that there's nothing that you can respect more than just a faithful, dedicated loser. You know,
Yes.
no reason.
Yeah.
This team
I'm a
has given
Chargers
you
fan.
No reason to
I'm
be
a
loyal.
blanket. I'm a Chargers fan. I'm in there too. We're in that same
Oh my gosh.
ballpark.
If you
talk
can
about
root for
Chargers.
a losing team for over a decade, then you just get a new a profound respect for the game and other fans.
Yeah. Yeah. I respect the Lions. I respect a Browns fan. You know, it's those people that have never been to the Super Bowl, you know, it's that those teams. And so I'm from Michigan, and, you know, I'm proud to be from there and root for my teams. So if I can get up there and there's certain people that I realized they make me realize how bad Detroit is at sports, because I was wearing that Detroit Lions jacket at a show, and somebody goes, is that your varsity jacket from high school? My first instinct was to be like, no, I'm not a loser. This is a Detroit Lions jacket. They're losers. This is a professional football team, despite what they do every Sunday.
Yeah, you guys went defeated a few years ago.
They did.
It's
They
hard
did
to
do that.
do. It's hard to do. A couple teams had a chance this year. They couldn't pull off the 0-16 goose egg.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. When your team sucks, like as long as our teams have sucked for, yesterday, the Bills were playing the Patriots, and the Bills were beating the shit out of the Patriots. And my wife and my mom were like, "Can we stop watching? This game's over." And I was like, "Never." And she was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Do you know how long every person that's loved the NFL has waited to watch this happen?" And she was like, "What?" I was like, "The team that's beating the shit out of the other team, it's been like 25 years. It's been like a quarter. It's been like a quarter of a century that this team has beat this team like this. We're gonna sit and watch this together as a family. Like, we're just gonna watch."
Can we appreciate
knowing that there's a
every
giant
week
group
the
of
Patriots
people,
might lose?
Yeah,
We're going to be a family, and we're going to watch this.
Yeah, there is a giant group of people that are in Massachusetts that are just like loathing their life for the first time in so long.
Yeah.
And they have no idea the pain that all the rest of us have endured.
You're going to see a
They
lot
realize what
of
it's
fair
like.
weather fans in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So funny.
They're learning what it's like to be human, you guys. That's what it is.
You flew too close to the sun.
I respect, like, what I love. I love the Detroit Lions, and I have high respect for the Patriots, because the Patriots were hot garbage for
Forever.
pretty much ever. And they not only turned
Yeah, in the 90s, they were bullshit.
they turned it around to the point where you're a dynasty that is now hated for how great you are in a matter of 20 years. Like, the fact that we've all gotten to watch this in our lifetime, like, it's amazing. And for me, watching Tommy Brady, you know, who played at Michigan and then was like this like tubby, awful draft pick that nobody thought would do anything, then becomes hated for how great he is. I'm like, that's the dream right there.
There it is.
Beautiful.
Is doing it right.
And if we all do it right, we'll all hate each other someday. Think about it, you guys. We'll be like, Sean, stop doing magic on me. Please.
Get some new material.
Oh, it's so funny.
Been great. What a great.
Well,
what a great.
that's one thing. That's one thing I love about you and Austin, your wife, is that, like, finding someone. We've talked about relationships in so many episodes of the podcast that we've done.
Yeah.
But
we could do a whole other one with Sipka.
we can a whole nother Sipka relationship episode. We're gonna make this a 2-parter, by the way, because we love you, and this is awesome.
Sign me up, gentlemen. Sign me up.
But what's it called? What I was going to say was that, like, speaking of like changing material or whatever, like it's amazing to find someone that can like kind of be with you in the same kind of like in the trenches of it all, you know, and just like auditioning and acting and stuff. And Austin's crushing it too. But like, you know, it's great to have a support system like that. Like even like going to see your shows, even though she's seen you do Billie Holiday or whatever you've done so many times, which is awesome. So like how, like, you know, I guess what I want to say is like, how does that feel to have someone like, you know, in your corner at all times, you know?
I think it's, I mean, before
Paul laughs.
How does it feel to have someone love you? Let's get deep.
What is love? What is feeling?
She's an actress too. She's an actress, or
Yeah, she is.
Okay.
And I think it has been really
met an
great
audition,
to be in it together. You know, like, yeah, because I think those moments where you get to celebrate are even better, and those moments that suck don't suck as much. You know, like after a bad show, you know, it's so funny. She'll get so angry, and she'll be like, they didn't realize how funny you are. They didn't give you the chance. That audience was garbage. Or like, why did that booker put you at like the end of the show when the whole place was, you know, empty and all that. And, and just having somebody who is genuinely rooting for my success as much as their own, it means a lot. So like for both of us, I think we see it for each other and remind each other like, hey, I can really see you making it. You know, we're like, you got what it takes. Like whenever you feel like you're falling behind or you aren't getting those chances. And I think that's been the case for me, is like, you know, I feel like putting in the work, you know, I'm doing all these things. What else could be done? And, you know, you're like, is anybody noticing? Is anybody seeing it? And I feel like we all feel that, but it feels good to have somebody in that corner being like, I see that too. But there's going to be your time. Your time is coming. Because I just think that's so easy to forget. And I think what's cool is just getting to be big fans of each other. Genuinely being like, I think you're hilarious. You know, I think you're so talented. Because I think we can hear that from like our sweet mom, or like somebody said that we can tell that to ourselves all day. But no, it's been great. And I think it's been, honestly, before being with her, I had always viewed like a relationship as getting in the way of me doing what I want to do. And that just was because I was in the wrong ones, you know, like I always viewed it as someone who's going to like weigh me down, take my time away from doing what I came here to do. And
that sweet ass, like that sweet
ass. Get that thing out of my way. Get your out of my way. I got a goal. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, and your sphincter is clogging it. Get out. That's my inner voice, by the way. That's how I wish I really spoke. I think it's I wish I spoke like Rodney Dangerfield and sang like AC/DC and looked like Elvis. Identity crisis.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you guys do bits on? Do you guys do bits on each other? Oh, I'm sorry, Adam.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, do you guys do bits like pranks on her and stuff too? Like, you know, just because you're both kind of comedians, you know. Like,
that was my question. Is she a comedian? Is she a funny person? Was my question. So
I think she's hilarious.
Okay,
there's
awesome.
there's so many funny things that we'll do together. I mean, that is when we met and we're talking on the side of the road for hours and hours. I told her pretty instantly, like, I've never been this weird in front of somebody this fast. And we were doing bits, you know, we were pretending to be this like old married Italian couple, Tony and Sheila, you know, and we were like in the car shouting at each other, being like, Sheila, I swear, if you look at Bobby all along one more time, I mean it. I'm going to take this pot of spaghetti. I'm going to throw it all over your britches. Okay, baby? You know, like, just totally.
That's why they called the cops.
I think they did. I think they were like, I think The Sopranos. I think there's like some B-level
There's
Sopranos.
An old couple yelling at each other.
I think it was profiling. They were like, excuse me, there's people being stereotypically Italian in the driveway? And we're not believing it, but it is annoying. But it is funny. It's funny to do bits together or like make videos together. We definitely want to keep making more stuff together for sure. But it also is funny to be like, you know, have her like watch a video and be like, what do you think of this? Or, and interacting with her more on camera has been fun. So we want to keep making stuff for sure. And
Does she ever come home from work and see you as like Agnes or something? You're like, I made, you know, like, just mess with her that way.
like she's like, hey Mark, I don't need some wisdom from you. I need some Agnes. And I'll be like,
Sweetheart, you can do it. I'm 97 years old. I don't have a butt, but I'll tell you what, I wouldn't sit on it even if I did, baby. You're going to make it. These casting directors wear no talent if it's sniff their tushy.
you know, and just yeah, pump her up. We can totally do that. I think there are I think there are characters of mine that she's more in love with than she is with me, which just cracked me up. I'm like, really? You like them? But
That's awesome.
Oh, that's so
she's,
funny.
She's awesome, and she's killing it, and I'm so proud of her. And I think it's been really good during the pandemic, especially.
What is her last name? Austin. What is her last name?
Boyce? Boyce.
Sipka now, baby. Sipka.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Hey, oh.
It sounds good to me. Isn't that how we all wish we talked? There's nothing more confident than an Italian New York accent. There is nothing.
God.
You could say anything. You'd be like, yeah, every time I pee, a little bit of urine dribbles out in my underwear, so I'm soggy for about 10 minutes. Come at me, baby. Right? You know it down.
Oh.
Everything
What?
sounds good.
I feel that same way about like anyone that has a very thick accent, because I'm always like, you're putting it on, right? Like you're putting it on. Like you don't actually inside in your room alone. You're like, hey, my name's Ted, but outside you're like, hello, my name's Ted. And you're like, no matter what the accent is, it could be anywhere. I'm always just like, you don't sound like that. I don't get it.
It's so true, man.
That is great.
That can't be genuine.
Yeah, like, did Rodney Dangerfield just like turn it off behind closed doors? And he was like, yeah, so I get a lot of respect. I don't know.
Yeah, it's actually
respect.
quite respectful.
He like hits the stage. He's like, oh, hey, I'll tell you what, I'm good now, but last week I was in rough shape. Hey, like, he probably was okay. He didn't have a wife, you know. He's alive.
Yeah.
He's like, my name's not Rodney at all.
That's true, I think.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
That's
Rodney
great.
Dangerfield was in Ladybugs. Now that I look back on that as a human being and how many times I watched Ladybugs, and now that I have an understanding of who Rodney Dangerfield really was as a person, how the hell did they make that movie?
Strange choice for a family movie.
How was that the choice? Just the fact that he was even able to make that movie, period. They were I feel like they just sort of like kind of like threw him from room to room. We're like, over here, and then you'll kind of just go over here.
Money,
we'll
money, money.
I always remember him as the dog, Rover Dangerfield. That's, I think, when I like grew up, it was him. Remember that movie?
Oh my
No,
gosh.
what are you talking about?
He was a cartoon dog that was like, I get no respect over here.
Oh, God,
Yeah,
I need to,
it
I
was
need
some
to see
animation
this.
cartoon,
Yeah.
but it was a kids movie, but it was him doing the voice. But I think they called it Rover Dangerfield. I think that's what it was. I met.
He's if you watch like a Rodney Dangerfield movie, it's so much fun because they wrote the script and his lines in his voice, like in his stand-up cadence. Every line, if you watch any clip from any Rodney Dangerfield movie, it is set up, punchline. Every sentence he says it's so great. And I don't know how they work in so many of his actual material into any movie. It's so good, man.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Well, listen, Mark, I think we took up a lot of your time. But you're amazing, man. Thank you so much for doing the podcast with us, man.
The best.
You're seriously one of the best guys I know, and it's just, you're incredible. Everything, every show that I'm like, Mark, you do the show, you're like, hell yeah, man. Just like, you're one of those positive energies in the LA comedy community that, like, I know we talked about before, is like a lot of comedians can be very kind of negative and just kind of like talk down stuff, and you're just always that positive kind of voice and just energy, and any show that you're on is just like, it ends up being an amazing show, man.
Oh, thank you so much, man. I mean, that's the stuff I think that's why we all connect, is like, I feel like you guys you're here for the right reasons. You're here because you belong here, because you're hilarious, but you're also here because you love it. And I think as long as we can all be, creating funny, but also being fans of funny, and that means fans of each other and fans of, comedy. I think I think that's the recipe for the long run, right? Like that's how we have fun along the way. And so I think that's what's so cool is, we don't identify with the like person who's like, yeah, I don't watch other people's stand up. I don't watch other people's things. I think we all got into this because we were fans of it. And so I think it's so important to, encourage each other and root for each other and laugh at each other as we go through it. Cause so much of it, so much of this time is hard. Cause I think, like I said earlier, sometimes you make something like a video or you go do a show at some empty dive bar and you're like, is anybody watching? I think I'm funny, right? I'm funny, right? And I think it means a lot coming from you guys who I think are extremely talented and extremely hilarious. And I appreciate you guys having me on here too. This was a lot of fun.
Well, thanks,
Don't
man.
act like you're busy. I mean, I got sitting down to do, and
well, thank you, man.
I got news to get depressed over.
Thank you for always being part of you were actually, you were part of the pre-show run of Another Late Show Tonight, kind of like the test run at LA Connection. And that's when you and Adam and Sean met and stuff. That was like, and thank you for being part of the Another Late Show Tonight family, baby. You can drop in anytime, baby.
Gentlemen, anytime.
All the time.
I'd be happy to.
You're the best. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Sipka. You can find him at Mark Sipka on Instagram, at Tad Roast Movies on Instagram also.
Yes.
And then Tad Roast Movie. Well, you just have Mark Sipka YouTube, right? Where can we find you? You want to plug your stuff?
What I'm going to do from now on, I was like, I'm going to make it easy for everybody. Everything is going to be at Mark Sipka and on the Mark Sipka YouTube channel. That's where it's all going to be. So that way you can find it real easy.
Spell
Go
that
watch
out
his
for
characters.
the people listening out there.
And
It's Mark, M-A-R-K, Sipka, S-I-P-K-A. And it would mean the world if you subscribed. I make new videos every single week. And if you do want to see the special I was talking about, it's called Mark Sipka, My Special Family Special. And it's on Amazon Prime. You can watch it free with the membership, or I think you can rent it for like $1 or $2 if you just have like regular Amazon.
Come on, people.
So great, rent it.
Come on, it's too easy.
Do
if
it.
you don't have Prime right now, like, what are you doing? You're just wasting money on shipping.
Yeah, I know. Save the shipping money and watch Mark's special, will you? Come on. Just do it. Well, Mark, thank you so much. You're the best in the biz. Thank you for doing the podcast. Mark Sipka, ladies and gentlemen. As always, the best band in all the land. Give it up for the show with Adam and Sean.
Yeah.
Thank you, folks.
You taking Paul's part right now? What's going on? Give it up for my partner in crime, Mr. Paul Brodo.
Thank you, everybody. See, I can be happy.
Wow. What the fuck just happened?
Well, who
I
was
know.
that
See,
guy?
Adam took over the
Yeah.
part.
Sorry about
Look at
that.
that.
Sorry about that. Didn't mean to do that. I was just still, my jaw is still on the floor because we got to talk to Mark for so long.
I know. It was great. It was awesome. I know. We're going to make this a two-parter. Mark, you're going to be, you might be our second guest, but because your second is the best, you're getting two parts.
You're 2 and 3. You're 2 and 3. You're 2
You're
and
2 and 3.
2 and 3. You're 2 and 3.
23. You're Jordan. What just happened?
What?
What?
I love Michael Jordan. Another thing that I will fight to the death over.
Damn right. Damn right, baby. Well, thank you so much, guys, for listening. Give us a 5-star rating if you love us. Subscribe, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Watch Mark's special on Amazon Prime, and we'll see you guys next week. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Another late night comedy show. Mike